You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natsuki, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the I don't know, what do I call myself? Like the greatest recap live stream on the internet. We talk about anime here. Actually talk about anime here, okay? Apologies. It's probably a little close to my face. So there are a couple of things I do want to talk about tonight. And then get into like the anime stuff. The primary one being Dandadan Evil Eye was in theaters over the weekend. So we most certainly do need to go and talk about that for a bit. Because that was a thing. I considered doing a video on it, but just ended up not and putting that into some and putting all that time into something else that I wanted to work on. But I will talk pretty in depth here about Dandadan and its most recent theatrical release. And why? That's pretty much why I named the stream what I did. It's because it's making me feel really excited about summer anime. Like more and more, we're just seeing things get stacked, and I feel like some of the things that they did. We'll get into like the interview and all of that at the end of the movie, and talk about some of that. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the Evil Eye movie. The next thing I do want to talk a little bit about, and this will be something that's a bit down the line, is like the news coverage around here. And I have a couple of ideas, but I'm just kind of biding some time to get the stream rolling. And then once we're done with that, we can move on into the anime thing. That's the anime coverage that I usually do, ranking all the weeklies and stuff, talking about how I feel about them. Okay. Well, so first things first, Dandadan Evil Eye. I said this in a pretty, I've said a lot of things at length, but I'm going to talk a little bit more spoiler here. So if you're an anime only who really, really doesn't want to know too much about what's going to happen with Dandadan, I guess this is your warning, but I'll start off without doing the spoiler stuff first, and I'll move into some of the more spoiler stuff. So with Dandadan Evil Eye, I genuinely thought that this was an improvement upon the arc in the manga for a few reasons. But the main one is that I kind of struggled when reading this in the manga with the clarity as far as like what was happening, certain character elements, like particularly around Evil Eye himself and other things. I struggled to keep all of that in check and to sort of, I don't know, make sure everything, or not make sure. I struggled to basically keep track of everything. It felt a little confusing, a little bit obscured by its own fast-paced storytelling. And that's where I think that the anime has improved this arc, because it makes the characters' motivations it makes Evil Eye's motivations a little bit more clear. And it also makes some of the tragic elements around the spirit more clear. So I like that. That was actually a really good addition. Yeah. There are some like actual like anime original scenes to this. There is content added to this to try and like make it flow a little bit better. The only reason that the anime would be more entertaining than the manga in this case, would be because of the action and animation with like the additional like direction of the show. Dandadan has done a good job of being pretty faithful to its source. There are some things that I do think are like randomly like adjusted or whatever. But I don't think they've done anything like criminal, like Tokyo Ghoul levels of bastardization or anything like that. Like it feels pretty faithful to what I've read. But yeah, it was good. I like the directing, the music, everything that they did with this. I genuinely had a blast at the theater watching this. And to move into some spoiler stuff. Yeah, this is effectively what I said. I'm thinking them improving the backstory. Like they improved Evil Eye's backstory in this one, which was a good move. It's one of the things that I feel like makes the character hit, like makes that whole thing hit harder. Because in the manga, it actually comes off as Gigi just being like an overly emotional doofus. And like making a really, really dumb mistake. In the anime, you can actually sort of understand why he does what he does. Because now you get this sort of like tragic lens through which you're viewing the character. It helps a whole lot. Animation really good. One thing that did strike me is peculiar. The interview at the end of the movie where you get to listen to the director and his assistant this time talk about like what they did with the anime and why was very interesting, and like how they have done a few things differently. And they actually look, so from what I've seen, the new staff that they hired was a good choice. So the director talks is specifically about how he wanted to make the aura around Evil Eye white, which I feel like would have been a terrible decision. But they ended up going with purple because it's supposed to kind of be like a rival to Okaru sort of thing. And that honestly was a good decision. And that was the assistant director's advice to the director. That was a really good move. And now the assistant director is actually the guy who directed the opening for season 1. They liked what he did so much that they brought him in to actually work on the rest of the anime. And given that this is what they did, or what he did, that was a good choice. They got some good talent with that. I like them explaining like why they went with like a duller color palette and all that for this particular arc to sort of mimic some of the old like films and stuff. This has me really excited for season 2. And now I wanted to go see the subbed version, but Thursday I was getting ready to set tile, so I didn't get off of work until 4:30, and the only showings for the subbed version were at 4:45, about 40 minutes to an hour away from me, or at 9:45. So I ended up going to a 7:15 dubbed showing of this. And honestly, the cast throughout all of it really knocks it out of the park with the English version. I would still recommend watching the Japanese version because I feel like it's stronger overall. Particularly because I'm not a huge fan of the girl who voices Momo in this. At times, she feels like she's really like just dead. Occasionally, it's one of the stronger dubs out there, but it's still not as good as the subbed version. And yeah, the co-director and then bouncing ideas off each other, making it better. Yeah. All in all, great experience. Really looking forward to season 2 of Dandadan. And you are correct. Like if they're gonna have to, I think they're probably gonna get closer to the other 2 characters that you mentioned, Muffler Tape there in this season. I don't know how far they'll actually get. I'd have to go back and double check to see like how much is between where we are now and space globalists, but I digress. Okay. So with that out of the way, hello to Muffler Tape, who have already noticed. Jeremy Turner, thank you for being around. Marcel, I appreciate it. All of you guys showing up to listen to me ramble about anime. Look, I wouldn't do this if people didn't watch it. I don't know, maybe I would. You have to do that for a period of time when you first start because that's just how things roll, but I digress. So, yeah, that's where I feel like they'll get right to the kaiju thing. So we'll probably see that would mean we get Kinta this season. That would mean we get Kinta and the other one. Oh, that was one thing. That was one thing that I actually wanted to talk about. Is in the Evil Eye arc. I have to go back and check the manga for this. I like genuinely do. But the fact that they mention or they make like a sort of vague reference to CSG in this, like it's not really direct, but like they literally have like that's like kind of nod to CSG with the poster and like the soccer team. I don't know. It just feels like that was too intentional considering the names of like characters in the future and all that. That seems like a really weird thing. Like there's some sort of intentional tie in there, and I have to go back and check in the manga to see if that was going to become a thing or not. But I want to know what the manga said because I do know that they changed the opening scene where Okarun talks about like Okarun starts talking about like aliens and stuff. In the magazine, he shows Momo. It actually says Obama made contact with aliens, and in the anime, it makes no reference of Obama whatsoever. The manga actually has a picture of Obama's face in the magazine. So Obama is canon to Dan Da Dan the manga. But yeah, that is kind of where we're at with that. Genuinely excited. The Saint Germain stuff, I might just be out of my mind. I might be like skitzing out, but so be it. So the next thing I did want to talk about, because that's really all I have to say about Evil Eye. It has me really hyped up for. Oh well, actually, there was one thing I will say that I. There are a couple more things actually I do need to say. No, they just keep popping in my head. Evil Eye's presentation improved on the last theatrical release. That's definitely a thing. I didn't like how they started off the first movie with the interview. I do really like how they teased the interview at the very beginning and then picked it up at the end. So that was an improvement that this one made upon the last theatrical release. The downside to this one, as compared to the original theatrical release, though, is the fact that they did not play the season 2 opener. Sad. I kind of wish they would have played the opening in this, but they didn't. Oh well. So now I can actually, I got those out of my head. Now I can actually start talking about the other thing. So this one's a little bit more like my channel oriented. It's a bit more of like an actual like content discussion. And it comes in regard to a change I'm going to be making here on the weekend show. And that is primarily going to be that I'm no longer going to be covering the news on this show. It's just I do so much of like the anime reviews and stuff on here. Talking like specifically um uh like the weekly recaps and stuff, and doing like reading recaps and stuff. So what I want to do with the show is basically make it specifically the spot where I talk about um all of the all the anime and the fun stuff, the actual like manga and anime. So talking about what I've read for a week, talking about everything that we've been watching for a week, doing the recaps and stuff. That takes up a good chunk of time in and of itself. And by the time I'm done with that, I usually don't feel like going on for like a long time on my own and doing news coverage. And plus, I feel like more people are like excited to actually talk about anime on this show rather than just news. So I'm not going to be doing that on this show anymore. Where the question comes in, and I will get to Jeremy Turner's gifted subs here in a bit. But where the question comes in is, if I decided that I was going to do another live stream where I specifically covered just like anime news topics and online discussion and stuff, and talked like about like things like how people are talking about anime online, or talking about things happening in the community, specifically a news show to cover the anime community and like trends and all of the happenings, where like we actually like go into articles and stuff. If I were to do a show specifically like that, would you guys enjoy that? Would you want to watch that? Like if I did a Wednesday night show where I started talking about that stuff, would that be something you guys would appreciate? Or do I just cut the news part of it all together and just keep it to the like pure otaku stuff? That's kind of the question I've been kicking around. And I figured I would put it here first. And then kind of, I don't know, put up a public poll to see how people felt about it. But I don't really want to cover news here anymore. I really just want to talk, like, I want animated to basically be the talk about anime and manga. And whatever random other stuff that kind of happens in there. I kind of considered it, doing it like the news being like a member's life thing. Either way, I do kind of want like I don't want to cover that stuff on this show. I just want to talk about anime on this show. So maybe we'll try it out and do a test run to see how it goes, and then go from there. But before we lose track of everything, Jeremy Turner, the mad lad, the man out here with the big cojones, gifted 10 Crimson Law memberships. Let's freaking go! Everybody, thank Jeremy Turner for financially supporting the show. And ooh, okay, here we go. Okay, now it's loading. Oops. Those memberships went to Recon Raccoon, Lethal Lightning, Seeker of the Moon, The Grey Pilgrim, Victor VB, Cly Live, Cursed Doggy, come on, Kami Anime S, Brandon the Anime Guy, and Copied Kitty. We got Cursed Doggy and Copied Kitty again. My laptop's struggling here. Okay. Thank you, Jeremy Turner. I do appreciate it. Genuinely do. I'm going to go buy myself some more manga that I'll probably talk about on here. With that money, it may very well end up being more copies of Gachi Akuta or something. Hold on a second. Let's see. I believe I am allowed Yes, I can. I can give out. I do know I can give out free memberships. So let's see what goes on here. It does allow me to gift free. Hey, there we go. Crimson Law gifted 5 memberships. Roland New, Marcel Hasnut, Felix Torres. Yeah. YouTube does genuinely suck at that kind of stuff, doesn't it? Like it sucks at trying to like give people memberships. But that said, seriously, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're gonna move on into the big topic of the night, talking about actual anime. Because as far as reading goes, I didn't do a whole lot. I got caught up on Ichi the Witch, which if you're not reading Ichi the Witch, I don't know. I feel like you're doing something wrong. Because that one is genuinely good. I'll probably save that for another time here and talk about it next week. I've mentioned it a couple of times. But Ichi the Witch, one of the better things that Shonen Jump magazine has going for it right now. I will have to also catch up. I'm a little bit behind on Centuria and some other ones, and then I have a certain someone in my ear dogging me about Chojin X, which I still have to check out. But that's neither the point nor the reason that we're here at this point. I don't think Witch Hat Atelier is in the same magazine. Oops. Because I mean, like this is good. Like I would pick Witch Hat Atelier over Ichi the Witch, honestly. But both is good. Both is good. Has it finally started raining yet? It has. Okay. There's a big storm rolling in over my home, so not like you, and not like any of you care. I could get wiped out by a tornado, and none of you would give a fuck. Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. Let's start there. Honestly, this week's episode was incredibly satisfying. Hello, Gray Pilgrim. I appreciate you showing up. You've got range. Shut up. Send it to me. What, you guys got like wildfires or some shit out there? So yeah, Evil Lord was really, really satisfying this week. We did have Christina showing up to battle, so she's finally actually become part of the like main cast. And she's fucking crazy. Oh. Ooh. Yeah. That's so fun. Christina is utterly crazy. She is a psycho, and honestly, I think it's hilarious. Fires don't normally start until August, September. Yeah, that checks out. So this episode is basically just like Liam wiping out a bunch of pirates, and honestly couldn't be I couldn't be dissatisfied with that. I thought they were going to turn this into some like really ridiculously overly dramatic episode and all that, but no, they just went into it. They started wiping out a bunch of pirates, and then the psycho chick shows up, and she's I would say like a 7 to 8 out of 10 blonde, but she is something else. And yes, she's also justified to be a psycho after the shot, after the stuff she went through. Yeah, absolutely justified. Christina is absolutely justified in her position. Also, hello, copied kitty. What do you got against blondes? Either way, this was one of the more satisfying episodes of Evil. I felt like it kind of hit a slump there where it started to like drag content out a little bit. Where it started to like the story was just sort of like getting into like real like particular detail about certain elements that maybe it didn't quite need to go into. But overall, I have enjoyed it in spite of that. This feels like it's actually gotten into like word this better. This feels like it kind of returned to the sort of thing that I was enjoying it for. It was entertaining to watch and it was satisfying to watch. Not because of any like major like well-written story or anything, but just because I'm here to watch an overpowered isekai protagonist body a bunch of fools, and that's what I got. So while the story is definitely much better and the world is definitely much more fleshed out than a lot of other isekais and fantasies that we get, it's still not the strongest entry in the genre. However, it is a pretty strong entry for this season. Admittedly, though, this season is kind of a lightweight as compared to others. Will I move this up or down on the list for this week? No, I'm not moving it anywhere. Because while I am satisfied with the turnaround and I feel like it's been less dragged and didn't end on some annoying cliffhanger, I still don't think it's quite earned going up any higher. You're going to have a hard time competing with some of the rest of the ones on this list. Unaware Atelier Meister is the next item on the list. It changed a lot for the anime, though. In the novel, Christina wasn't in that battle. Also, his one flash was much weaker at this point in the novel. Interesting. Maybe that's something I'll end up checking out in the future. But right now, I just do not have all the time and money to like keep up with all the particulars about it. But it's nice to know that chat reads this stuff and is willing to point this stuff out. So appreciate you guys who do that. Remember, kids, drink your water, stay hydrated, and be healthy. Do not become a couch potato Annie-tuber like me, okay? I don't want the competition. Unaware Atelier Meister. Let's talk about this. The one down here, all the way at the bottom. Kurt makes a hot springs in this episode, all to sell some steamed buns. The plan to save Hildegard goes fully into motion. They kind of have an idea of everything, only for Kurt to manage to somehow screw things up by getting into the castle as a chef by accident. So we've got whiskey and vodka in the chat. You know what? I considered cracking open a drink myself, but I had some at lunch today with a friend, so it's not like I really felt like drinking anymore. So yeah, Unaware Atelier Meister becomes increasingly hard to comment on because it always feels like I'm saying the same exact things about this. Oh, well, Kurt wows everyone with a bunch of stuff that he just does. His overpowered abilities kick in and he does something ridiculous. Of course, we do have Eulishia, like with her whole like date plan. Look, I will probably drink after this show, but I feel like the world doesn't need me like drunkenly slurring my words talking about anime right now. It feels like a really bad idea. And look, I will be the first to tell you that I'm pretty lightweight. I don't really drink much. Or I don't really need to drink much. But yeah, unaware Atelier Meister. I mean, we basically get Yulicia trying to have her date with Kurt, only for it to get interrupted. It's like a repeat of last week's with Lise. Again, it's not an amazing series, so it's kind of like I'm watching it because I enjoy it personally, not because it's amazing. It is another slop fantasy series with a very basic trope. That is the core of it, but it's entertaining. It is just pure entertainment. And it is exactly, Pilgrim, you get it. Atelier Meister passes. The new episode is out. I should watch that test. A rank has failed that lately. Yeah, I kind of feel that. See, look, I've kind of had this thought lately that I can be really, really pretentious about anime. And I like when I say lately, I mean last night it dawned on me that I can be really pretentious with my critiques. But being pretentious is okay as long as you can still have fun with the slop. I believe the movie is called. It's not The Critic. No, that's the one with the old dude who basically murders a bunch of people so he can keep his journalist job. There's a movie out there about a chef who like gets fed up with people like reviewing his food, and he just has no fun cooking anymore. Up until some chick decides to ask him to make her a burger for dinner at this like really like refined event, and he ends up killing everyone but her. I forget what the movie is called. The Menu or something like that. I know Drinker has a video on it. He talked pretty highly about it. But that's kind of like how it is. Like if your whole life is centered around being this refined, cultured, like man of great opinion and having to justify everything, the pretentiousness is bad. But being pretentious about things and still being able to enjoy the slop parts of it is a good thing. You should be able to enjoy an anime you know is bad. There are a couple of things on here that I know are objectively bad that I still do enjoy myself. You should be able to do that. And that's kind of where Atelier Meister where Atelier Meister falls. Is it's bad, but you can enjoy it. Prequel trilogy, yeah. The prequel trilogies have some bad moments in them. Like the movies are not well constructed, and I'm looking at you, fucking Anakin. But I love the shit out of those movies. There is there is a need for pretentiousness when it comes to like critiquing stuff and like actually being critical of what you're watching. But be able to enjoy something and still be able to call it trash. Like my favorite anime, I don't even think is the best anime ever made. Okay? My favorite anime is not, in my opinion, the best anime ever made. And it's Naruto. There are a lot of problems with Naruto, but I love that series. Interdimensional chakra demons from the moon. It basically turns into an Alex Jones rant at the end. But I digress. So that's where we are with Atelier Meister. It's going to sit right here at the bottom. The whole time. Same with Yandere Dark Elf. This episode, genuinely kind of ass. And not the good kind of ass. Not the like nice round ass. No, this is it sucks. Okay? But we basically get a whole episode of cross-dressing cosplay and some like really weird fetish stuff. But the one good moment it has is Hinata actually like showing that he's a strong dude. When he, takes down the fucking stalker or whatever, the dude who was going around recording up people's skirts and all that. I did not care for this episode of Yandere Dark Elf. Like, genuinely, like, this is another slop series, but I do somewhat enjoy it. This one episode, though, I don't know. It rubbed me in all the wrong ways. And yeah, this is true. The Lord of the Rings trilogy just so happens to be the best and the favorite. It's funny too, because it's like my favorite movies are Return of the King and Revenge of the Sith. Like, there's a disparity in quality there. And yet again, I digress. So with the Yandere Dark Elf, this one's going to stay at the bottom here. It's going down one because, well, this one wasn't my thing. I really love One Piece above anything, but it really does have a pacing issue. Yeah. Oda really, really likes to take his time and be detailed with his stories, which I respect. I do like that kind of storytelling. It's just, it gets hard when you're at 1,000 chapters. All right. Keeping on the list. Keep moving on. The beginning after the end. There were actually some good moments in this one. So Yandere Dark Elf ends up getting bumped down 2 slots because it moved down 1 itself. And the beginning after the end moves up ever so slightly. So we actually get a decent movie centered around, like, a decent movie. Did I say decent movie? A decent moment centered around the Leywin family in this one. Like, we get Arthur actually, like, reacting pretty violently to the idea of people, like, harming his family. That was good. But that was about where, like, the good part of it ended. Because as much as I did like Arthur's character in this, the world around him still feels entirely generic. It's still suffering from this lack of supporting material to establish this connection between Arthur and his family. And the animation, the art style, all of the directing choices still just aren't there. This one really could have used a good director. And this is where pretentiousness does help. You can objectively say that this series would be much better if certain things were checked off. And they may be minor, but they add up, like the world building thing. You could make the series feel so much less generic by doing better with the world. If you make people think that your world is actually thought out, it improves their impression. But this one feels like it's pretty basic fantasy stuff so far. And there's been nothing in here that has really struck me as, whoo, wow, okay, that's creative, that's cool. So, yeah. The beginning after the end is one of the biggest fumbles of the season. Objectively, I really find myself in the mood to watch good stuff. I find myself going to more fun more often than not. Just caught up on Kaiju number 8 and loved it. Objectively, not good. Biggles may fight you on that one, dude. Star Wars, has anyone else have that problem that you can't watch the originals anymore because of how much of a psychopath Luke Skywalker, aka Mark Hamill, is? I don't know about that. If you're talking about like Mark Hamill himself in this situation, I don't know. I kind of separate art from the artist in that regard. Like, I think Mark Hamill is kind of a piece of shit. But Luke Skywalker is a different thing. I have more so a problem with the fact that Mark Hamill kind of sucks at acting in those movies than with anything that he's done. It's basically like I can watch a movie or something with a terrible person in it, but not really consider that terrible person has done things. That said, moving on back on to anime. So please put them on Miss Takamine. Let's move on to that. Okay. So we're clearly getting close to the end of the season because we're moving into like a climactic sort of event. We now have Shirota basically in a dick measuring contest with the popular guy in class. That's a thing. So he basically has this pseudo rivalry for a role in a school play with the popular guy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I put a decent amount of effort into editing that one because I did want to have fun with it. So we get Ellie taking like a huge chance to touch Takamine's tits, which is kind of interesting considering she's supposed to have a girlfriend in all this, and here she is going after another chick. And then we also have the whole bet thing that was going on between Shirota and Takamine, and Shirota just refused to take advantage of the easy out that she gave him. This is another one where, like, objectively speaking, it's not the best written. Like, there are things where it comes off as pretty stereotypical, but it's entertaining because I do somewhat like the characters. They've actually made somewhat of an improvement upon them as time has gone on. They have actually given them some level of development, made them likable, sort of human people. I'm going to have to look at this. But that is, like, kind of where my praises for it have to end. Because while it does actually try to write a story, and while it does actually try to develop characters and all of that, it still really is just like you're going to get like these tropes here and there where you, I don't know, use it as an excuse to do some lewd stuff, which isn't in and of itself the bad thing. It's just, I find that kind of stuff boring. Like, if your whole point in doing something is specifically to have some tits, I feel like that's kind of boring. Make the tits matter. So with Takamine, it's just kind of going to stay there. I don't really have any reason to move it up or down this week. If you want more details on this, you are welcome to go check out my video on the matter. We can talk The Two Perfect Saint next, because that is where we are going. So this episode was something else. So with The Two Perfect Saints, I actually do want to move this one up. Interesting. So with Two Perfect Saints, we have the whole like arrests being made against the conspirators. So all of that is fully resolved, but there's still a huge issue with the Demon Realm's approach. So we also do get a pretty good reunion between Mia and Philia. That was good. I enjoyed that. And it was overall a pretty like upbeat episode this whole time. There was a lot of good moments for everyone involved. Right up until the end. Actually, I do want to move this one up more. Where exactly exactly what I kind of said was going to happen happened. The prince got desperate because he got cornered, went and found the ring, and became the Archdemon. Look, man. I still like tits. They're nice, okay? Everyone likes... Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but like tits are amazing, okay? Like they genuinely are. But where the fuck is the clip? There it is. There it is.
理想的な柔らかさ、俺の美意識に間違いはなかった。何をなさっておいでですか？検品だ、検品。
It was satisfying, even if it was predictable. Yes, the whole thing so far has been good, and this one has surprised me with how well it's done. Because in the second half here, it's gotten much, much better with the B plot. Was that a child? This? Yes, that was a kid. That was a kid inspecting the android maid's tits. And that is the main character of Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Genuinely, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't need to hear it from you. Shut your whore mouth, okay? I'm gonna full on just like slam the 6-pack I got in the fridge and become the absolute menace, okay? You better shut your fucking bitch ass up if that's how you're gonna talk to me. Okay? Okay? Just so we're clear to anyone who isn't familiar with me, we're cool, we're chill. He's actually been on a couple of streams with me. He just needs to know that if anyone's gay here, it's fucking him, Mr. Wizard. But yes, Two Perfect Saint has really been like a dark horse this season. I didn't expect to like it as much as I have. So move along to let's what the fuck are you talking about? Genuinely, what are you talking about? Drive Crimson to become an alcoholic. Oh god. No, I won't, because I like Crimson lore. I have some bad experiences with alcoholism in the family, so that's not going to happen. You're not going to get me to become an alcoholic. Okay, Brilliant Healer's new life and the Brilliant Healer's new life in the shadows. There's some random good animation in this one again. Like, what the fuck? Like, it just decides that the animators really want to play into like the high quality animation randomly for no reason for the dumbest stuff. It's so wild to me that you get like really high effort stuff of them like panning through a wall. It's crazy. We do have this arc seeming to be drawing to a close, and that makes sense because we're a few weeks out from the end of the season. Checks out. Because we do have our main character getting invited to one of the private dinner parties. So is Life Stealer guy going to attack our main character or what? Also, noble waifu route unlocked. The spoiled chick from earlier in the season. I don't know if you picked up on the fact that she was the one who was asking for the fox pelts or whatever earlier that caused the whole fallout between Ashton and Xenos. But like, she now has a thing for Xenos because he helped her out. I mean, I do say harem life is best life. Surround yourself with plenty of big titty bitches, okay? I can't like genuinely say that this one goes up the scale, like is anything other than just okay, because entertaining, but its story and its writing overall just kind of suck. Like, they're not good. Like I don't genuinely care about like any of the stories or characters. I'm literally just like, all right, well, I'm here for some more ridiculous shenanigans. Give it to me. Feed it to me. I don't care if it's a fucking fast food burger equivalent. I need it. Hey, I respect that decision. Like, I'm not joking when I say alcoholism runs in the family and I don't want to become a drunk. That's why I don't. That's one of the reasons I don't drink too often. And when I do, it's really light. So Brilliant Healer can kind of stay down here. I don't have much more to say about it because, well, what am I supposed to say about it? It's the same thing. I'm OP, and everyone around me doesn't realize it, so they kick me out of the party, and then I become even more OP. This is the new isekai, pretty much. With that said, we'll move on to the top slot of the season, the Apothecary Diaries. And all I gotta say, like all I really have to say is, yo, what the fuck? And that basically sums up this entire episode. Of course, I'm going to get into a little bit more detail with basically Mao Mao decides she's going to take the fall for a bunch of people. I can dig his lifestyle, though, having your own business while helping out the poor at the same time with lots of hot girls around. True. I wouldn't mind that either. Oh no. Oh no, Pilgrim. Okay. Apothecary Diaries. I'm going to get through this and just ignore chat until I'm through with this because this one was a good episode. It was kind of fucked up, but it was a good episode. So Mao Mao basically takes the fall for some things that she wasn't involved in to save some people that she doesn't really need to, but she's just a nice person like that. So they throw her in a pit with a bunch of toxic creatures, or with a bunch of venomous creatures. And as you would expect, this little fucking psychopath becomes the queen of the pit of poisonous animals. And that was funny. But then we get to like the second half of this episode, and what they kind of alluded to with Lolan in the past couple comes to like fruition basically. The sabotage of the gunpowder stores was not, I didn't expect her to be the one to do something like that. I figured she would end up just like, I don't know, later on realizing the error of her ways, but it seems like she is actively involved in what's going on. And then there was the stuff with the kids. Like, that was something else. I mean, and Lolan and Suire, like, just sort of like genuinely hating being part of this conspiracy, and it really seeming like the mother is the one who is responsible for everything that's happening. I mean, well, actually, they kind of outright say it. It was a good episode, but again, yo, what the fuck? And this is why the Apothecary Diaries is the best thing that's out right now. And why, if this had won Anime of the Year rather than Solo Leveling or Frieren, I would have respected it because Apothecary Diaries is genuinely good. I still think Frieren is better, but I would respect this decision more than Solo Leveling. And we'll move on from there to Fire Force, because I don't really have much else to say about this. Just like, characters are good, the story writing is good, it's very detailed and well executed, all around great series. The only weakness to it that I see is that season one's second opening sucked ass. That's it. I do agree. She actually did like this is as far as the kids go, like that is effectively her idea of sparing them. Yeah. Fire Force, Fire Force. So the Great Cataclysm has finally kicked off. Yay. Honestly, with the way this is another one where like the show has so many holes in its plot and stuff, and like things that it just fails to do well, but it's still entertaining. Scope returns, and I couldn't give a fuck because I never cared about Scope. That stupid ass mole bitch can go away. And then of course we have Show overcoming Halmea's brainwashing and deciding to go rogue. So that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see where all that goes because Show is now out to find Shinra to reunite with his brother. But we got our setup, and now it looks like the last couple of episodes here are going to be pretty dramatic, and then we're going to get a break into like summer where we're going to get the other half of this airing the end of this whole series. Because that's really where we're at. We're at the very end. Of course, they mention an 8th pillar somewhere at some point in this. And I think they kind of have implied that it's Iris, but I don't know. It could be a misdirect. Oh, I did too. I genuinely skipped through his fucking monologues because they annoyed the shit out of me. Like, holy crap. So with this episode of Fire Force, it was all right. It ain't gonna move up or down, that's for sure, but it was all right. I still can't justify like recommending this show at this point though, because like I don't know, everything that I liked about the first 2 seasons seems to be gone. Well, that brings us around to Kowloon Generic Romance. The next one on the list. The second best anime of the season. So the whole kill Reika thing seems to be kind of a ruse, at least for now. It looks like they're not going to pursue that right away. I'm kind of glad. This episode was really good after the past couple of weeks. The past couple of weeks have felt kind of like it was slipping, but this one really brought it back with a lot of like the psychological aspects that were going on in this. The last 2 episodes, I feel 2 or 3, we got a lot of explanation as to what's going on and like a lot of like outside work that just I don't know kind of started to detract from it. But with this, we actually like got more of the F that white-haired guy though. Yes, I do agree. F that white-haired guy. I had to remember which one you were talking about there. With this week, we got a little bit more of the psychological stuff with the talismans. That was an interesting thing to see the error 403 and the error 202. We do get a little bit more, and then like the you should stop looking. The psychological aspect of this was pretty good. Character wise, I did like some of the developments, especially centered around Reika herself, and Xiaohei was an interesting twist. But so be it. Like it picked itself back up after stumbling a little bit. So hats off. I appreciate it. I still do recommend this one. There are some weird things. Like the least enjoyable part of this is the episodes where it focuses heavily on the creepy hermaphrodite. But everything else about it has been pretty freaking good so far. Okay. We're going to move on from Kowloon Generic Romance. And we're going to talk Yaiba. We still got plenty to go. Okay. We'll be here. We'll be here a good long while yet. let's talk Yaiba. You know, this was one that I was originally pretty bullish on. And I'm moving down Yaiba down a bit. Because while I do still enjoy it, I think it does have potential, I feel like it really peaked with the fight between Yaiba and Onimaru in like episode 3. When they were fighting in traffic and all that, I think that was the best that this anime got so far. I do like a lot of the other elements and stuff, but I just feel like it hasn't lived up to that same peak. So this one's moving way down, way down. So with this episode, we're approaching the final battle now. We had a small detour. I figured that the Demon Kings or whatever they were was going to be like a few episodes long, and we were going to get something good and intense out of it, but they kind of blitzed through that, and I was disappointed. They effectively ended up being fodder enemy, so cool, whatever. And I'm just kind of left to wonder, like, how are they going to go about the rest of this? Because we now have Yaiba ready to square off against Onimaru. And now this fight actually could be something really freaking cool if it's anything like the original preview in the first episode was. If that's what we get, then hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. But banana bread. Hell yeah. Yaiba is one that I can no longer justify being in the must-watch category. It just feels like I like it. I enjoy it. It's not the worst thing out there, but like, I don't know. After a long slew of episodes that just haven't really been my thing, it has to drop. And since this is Jeremy Turner's second best anime of the season, pardon me, Sword of the Demon Hunter ends up being next. I kind of feel that way too. Like, I feel like there's a lot that's been cut out here, a lot that's going to need to get done. We're approaching the end of the season here, so that's kind of my thought on it, is they may have like skipped a lot, streamlined the story. I don't know what's going on here. We'll see, I guess. As far as Yaiba goes, that's where it's going to stay. For now. Sword of the Demon Hunter, though. So I was kind of wrong. We did get a future episode this one. We actually kind of stayed in the future. But at the same time, I was also right, because everything that they were talking about was all stuff that happened in the past. It was a modern recreation of things that Genya actually went through in the time period that we have been in for the past, I don't know, the entire other part of the series. I did like how they did this, though. Like, I'm really glad with how they made, like, how they actually started, like, making Harlot the Harlot a proper character. Like, that's genuinely a good thing that they've been doing with this. And while the fights may not be the most entertaining of the season, its story is one of the strongest entries of them all so far. And the way, like, in a similar way to like how Apothecary Diary seems to tie everything together, this one also ties things together really, really well. It is very professional. That will be interesting. I kind of hope not. I kind of hope this is a one-off thing, because if it starts to become like a real, like, consistent thing about the series, I feel like that would water down how unique it is, and it would kind of start to conflict with the, like, actual story it's telling. I feel like we should get a period of time in the past now until we get like some more for like a couple of episodes before we get some more future stuff. And yeah, the show doesn't waste a moment. It all ends up meaning something. And that's what I mean by it's professional. It's written in a way that like doesn't waste your time. It's not just empty space. Like everything ends up having a meaning in the story overall. So it's great. Okay. Sword of the Demon Hunter done. We're leaving it there. Let's talk about A rank party. So in this episode, we get Yuke actually taking the initiative and, kissing Rain. That was an interesting thing. And I liked that. And it was moving towards like something like the harem ending with all of the girls. And then they skipped that part. So technically, Yuke has done something with every single one of the girls now. But they only showed it with Rain for some reason. Like right as they were getting to the good part of like some actual like romance stuff happening, they don't show it. They only show what happens with Rain. Like fuck off. I still do think Rain is the best girl, honestly, but like seriously? You're only gonna show it. Yeah, like this is how I feel. The kissing was weak sauce when it could have been procreation, made it 1,000% funnier. Yes, exactly. Honestly, if I were in his position, that would have happened a while ago because I mean they're all very clearly coming on to this dude. Like, come on. But anyway, the Yuke's uncle returns and we're moving into the final mission to save the world. Yeah, don't really give a fuck anymore. Honestly, I'm just watching this because of sunken cost fallacy. I am in this far. I'm going to finish it. This peaked kind of like Yaiba pretty early on and has not lived up since. It's just okay. Is it worse than the beginning after the end? No. But we're getting there. It feels like it's the same plot over and over and over and over again. And whatever good world building they had in the beginning just feels like it's turned out to be kind of generic and boring. So yeah, I'm not moving this one up or down, but like, geez, you're losing me with this last part of the series, dude. You are losing me. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to mean, but you know what? I just think the dude needs to fucking bag all these chicks and be done with it, okay? If it's not a proper harem ending, like look, harems are genuinely a waste if the protagonist isn't going to take advantage of every single one of them. When I say take advantage, I don't mean like in the bad way. I mean like get all of the benefits out of that relationship, okay? Sex, okay? If the main character doesn't sex all the girls, the harem is a waste. And there are very, very, very few exceptions to that, okay? Because I do think of one right off the top of my head, and that's 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you. And that's the issue with A Rank Party, is it's basically just a harem full of women who thirst after the main character who just doesn't want to make a move. He's a fucking... He ain't an herbivore, he is a fucking vegan. It can be all at once, if that's what you're into. Okay, Shoshimin. I love this series, but this latest arc has felt really, really boring because it's basically just Kobato sitting in a hospital, doing nothing this whole time. Like, it'll probably play out well, but it's really boring to get this whole thing where Kobato is like the only character that we see in the present day, and he's just sitting here reminiscing the whole time about an old case. Like, I'm really struggling to see where this one's going. Genuinely struggling to see where this one's going. It makes me question how Yandere Usanai is, but I don't know. This one, they're kind of playing it close to the chest with some of these things, and that's what makes me really feel like, okay, what exactly is supposed to be going on here? So I enjoy the show. I have enjoyed it so far, and I have liked it up to this point. But I do not feel like I can justify saying that this is a very good show when literally the past like 3 or 4 episodes have largely been set in a hospital or deep in the past. So yeah, that my brief explanation of why Shoshimin is taking a dive. Master Swordsman. From Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman. So we are fully introduced to one of Barrel's other students, Rose, which is nice. Like, she seems all right at first anyway. We'll get to that. We get Barrel finally, like, getting his new outfit and everything, and Miwi says she thinks he's cooler when he wears his normal stuff. That was kind of funny. But we do get some like good action in this episode, which I appreciated. It was cool to see like the how everyone was like fighting. And yes, that was what I was going to point out. There was some really good CGI in this episode. Like, they genuinely did a great job with the CGI in this. It worked for the whole thing. It looked nice. It wasn't visually atrocious. And if this is what we're going to have to look forward to for like anime and like CGI and stuff, I don't mind it. I still do like the 2D stuff better, but this was a good use of the technology. It was a good way to like demonstrate what it can do. The only thing I have though that like really like I find kind of like off, because you say like Rose is fine. She is fine. Yeah, this is like wholesome father-daughter stuff. I do appreciate that too. It's funny and entertaining to see. It's almost like stereotypical father-daughter relationship there. But with Rose, the sus radar is kind of going off on this one. And there's a couple of reasons. She seemed very oddly interested in Beryl, and not like the way like the other girls were. Especially going out of her way to like walk with him through the city and all that. The way she did that struck me a little bit odd, and I can't really explain why. There's just something about it that doesn't sit right with me. And then we get the fight scene. Okay? There's one shot in there where she looks like she's gone full crazy. But on top of that, they were given orders not to kill the assassins. But she's the only one who immediately goes for the kill. With everyone else, the assassin either escapes or is injured and then ends up killing themselves by biting their tongue off. But with Rose, she is the only one who, with no hesitation, kills the guy. There's something that doesn't sit right with me about this chick. And for whatever reason, I can't believe that she is fully on their side in this. And I might just be paranoid and I might end up being completely wrong on this. If that's the case, well, then ignore this rambling and call me an idiot for believing that. But like, there are things about her that there are a lot of things about her that are like red flags. The sus radar is going off. And the last. Yeah. Yeah, you get it. Basically, biting your tongue, like if you're in a hostage situation. I've seen this through a couple of anime and all that. Like the idea of biting your tongue to kill yourself is a thing. You either the blood loss or you drown on your own blood. Probably. And that's actually the more likely thing. Like a cyanide capsule or whatever. Yeah. Witch Watch. Let's talk Witch Watch. Okay, so this was a really good episode of Witch Watch this week. It was funny. It had some emotional weight to it. And it was just genuinely like perfect. It was great. So we got the whole letter thing with like the girl who was friends with Nico like in the first couple of episodes and her parents. That was a really good thing that happened there. I thought that was great. And then we get like, so they have this like they start the episode with like this sort of like heavy sort of emotional thing that's going on, and they resolve that, which was good. And then they move into more like happy silly gags, which was pretty fucking hilarious. So we have Textbook Boy, who speaks like he is reading right out of a language textbook, and that was funny. And he meets this chick who speaks like she reads right out of a out of a textbook. Yeah, that first part really did hit pretty hard. So that whole thing with like the dude like I want to ask her out, so I'm going to do all this. And then just walks over like, this is my girlfriend now. The Textbook Boy thing was great, but I really liked the emotion spell one, where like Nico wants a way to like understand Moe. So she goes to him and casts the spell on him, and it basically just creates a little like chibi version of him that sits on top of his head and constantly expresses everything that he says. Like that was like wholesome, fun, and entertaining all the way through that gag. So it goes from like really like meaningful part to just silly to outright fun. It was a great episode. All 3 segments of this episode were fantastic. Yeah. Keep on rolling. So that's why Witch Watch is in the top. I freaking love that series. Anne Shirley. Let's talk Anne Shirley. If I remember correctly, it was they did the whole thing with the letter. And then they did the textbook joke. And then the final gag in it. Okay, now y'all got me confused. Let's go here. Oops. Or sorry, maybe. Yeah, the emotions part was third with Moe and stuff. Yeah, where like she cast a spell on him. That's what I'm saying. Is you had the letter in the first part, and then you had if I said okay, I think we've cleared that up. I think we've cleared that up. I'm not gonna go look it up. I was really confused there for a second. Oh boy. Okay. Let's talk Anne Shirley. Because I did genuinely like this episode. And I'm gonna move this one up a little bit. It is kind of a tragic episode. But there are some good parts to it. Especially with like the part with like Gilbert being self-sacrificing for Anne and them making up finally after all these years. That was some good stuff. Is it an amazing anime? Still no. It still really struggles, but it at least had a good episode here. A better episode than the past. I don't know how many. It's kind of been struggling for a while, but this episode definitely did improve my impression of it, at least for the week. Oh man. Ooh. I don't really have much else to say about Anne Shirley. Basically, you have Matthew dies in this episode, and they have this whole like it was actually like 4. So from what I understand, they were 12 when like the boat thing happened. Or sorry, she was 11 when he teased her about the color of her hair. 12 when the boat thing happened, and now she's like 16, almost 17, and they're making up. So he's, I think, like 19 at this point. As far as this goes, I believe it's just that he was in a really bad condition either way. And it was the shock of what happened in the paper that just sort of like tipped it. Either way, like, I don't know, suspension of disbelief. I think I like it checks out, but would it be a realistic thing? I don't know. I like this episode overall, though. I feel like it did some good things. An assassin or a ninja and an assassin under one roof. We got some crazy things happening in this episode. And one of those crazy things is apparently that Kuro likes to get freaky in her ninja costume. That is information that, like, is good for a vivid imagination, but I mean, did I really need that? Probably not. But Satoko basically feels more comfortable in her ninja clothes and doesn't perform as well at her duties if she doesn't have them. So she goes and gets Leader's outfit, and then she's able to perform just fine. Of course, she ends up, basically recreating her original uniform. All well and good. There's some goofy stuff going on there. There's also the whole joke about the the undead live streamers, but the best part of this episode, though, I like that. Props to the girlfriend for actually giving it away for her, or allowing her to give it away. Yeah, right. The best part about this, though, was the delayed activation on turning the house to leaves. That part was pretty good. Genuinely a really funny thing that happened. Just the leaf falls, huh? What? And then the whole thing fucking collapses. So now they have a third roommate. This is gonna be great. Just broke about any bone, yeah. I can't really say like I'm super invested in the story, but it's a comedy anime, so like whatever. They also put some really like weird emphasis on like doing good animation for very specific things. And the way they did some of the animation in this actually made it funnier. Like especially when like Satoko is trying to like figure out how her powers work and she's like trying to turn the insect into leaves and all that. Like that was funny. Overall, though, I won't be moving this one up or down. It's just kind of gonna stay there. It's good. I don't know if I would move it up yet. Lazarus. They did focus a lot on the hands in this episode. Lazarus. So with this episode, look, there are. I don't know. I kind of feel bad doing this, but I feel like I can't with the writing sometimes. Okay, so they put a hit out on Lazarus. That's cool. Okay. We get a really cool action scene. That's cool. But like the writing really relies on some stupidity. It genuinely relies on people just like completely forgetting important things that they discover, things that they should probably mention, and just letting everyone side quest for a while. I swear, if they had all of the answers in episode 3, if all of the answers to this were in episode 3, it's a huge fucking waste of time. And this is why I feel conflicted about it. Because I do understand from a director standpoint why you would do this. Okay. Like you're telling a story, and there's a very clear theme to this. And this is just like how humanity in general, it's the question of is humanity in general worth saving? Look at all the evil we've wrought upon this planet. Look how awful everything we've done is. Look how terrible we are. But to everyone who's watching this, and everything they do seems to be a side quest, and you're making it out to look like all of the answers were in episode 3. All of the answers were right at the beginning of the series. I almost feel insulted with this, really. Because it requires some stupidity. If that was actually Skinner in episode 3, and if the drug that Chris found, I believe that's her name, right? If the drug that Chris found has anything to do with the cure to Havna, fucking hell. I'll feel like I've just wasted a bunch of time on a story that went in one huge fucking circle. The thing is, like, I don't mind if they would have tied it into like the actual progression of the show. I wouldn't mind it as much. Like, if they actually tied that stuff in to progressing the show, I wouldn't mind as much. But every one of those things has been a side quest. Every one of those things has been almost entirely irrelevant to the story. They have accomplished almost nothing with all of those side quests, with all the preaching and all that. They have accomplished almost nothing of value. I think it is a pretty interesting point, to like question to like question like everything that humanity does in this show. I don't mind that part of it because there are times where I genuinely feel like, man, like the human race just kind of sucks. Doesn't mean I want to completely, doesn't mean I want to side with Skinner. And it doesn't justify having all these side quests. To answer this question, the show is entertaining in a way. So, Lazarus is entertaining in a way. I do like the characters. Would I say that they've grown? Some of them do have good development. Some of them do have some interesting development in the form of their like backstories and everything that goes on with them. Dynamic changing stuff? Not really. You just get a little bit more light shed on them. The weakest is definitely the blonde chick because of this. There's an entire side quest episode that has no point except for to make her a tragic lesbian Spetsna. That is it. That's all that episode is there for. So I do enjoy the show. But critically talking about it, I feel like this is probably Shinichiro Watanabe's weakest project by far. It's got the best like production value, but if we're talking about the overall quality of the story, it's probably the weakest by far. It doesn't even come close to Cowboy Bebop at this point. All right. Aharon-san Season 2. This is another one that I feel like needs to just go into the interesting category. One that I do genuinely like, but like, I don't know, Season 2 started off cool, and then it started really, really tackling the side characters and giving us episodes that I kind of didn't really care for much. Well, it's for Adult Swim. Production value gets you Marvel, not a timeless classic. That is true. I genuinely think Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo are better. Like overall. Cowboy Bebop was really good on a rewatch for me. Samurai Champloo, it was good. Maybe I might end up liking it better on a rewatch, but Samurai Champloo felt like, I don't know, the hip hop vibe and the samurai thing just felt like a miss to me. But that's a conversation that we had on Fictionology. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Yeah, with Aharon Season 2, this week we got the teacher episode. We get a heavy focus on the teachers with this one. The short chick is the new teacher, and like she's kind of learning the ropes and all that. And then of course we get the tall girl's sports rivalries, which play into all of this. And it is a good, entertaining show. But I don't think I can justify putting it in the very good category at this point. That's when I watched in the season, so it's a bit more bearable. Interesting. So yeah, Ahara in season 2, I feel like I don't know, it just went a direction that I don't really care much for. It's still entertaining. It's still a good show. I would just put it more in the interesting category rather than the very good category. Its best parts are effectively over at this point. And it still captures some of the same entertaining elements, but it's not the strongest entry this season. Okay. Vigilantes. Let's talk Vigilantes. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Now, unlike a lot of these, this one's actually getting a promotion. I'm actually putting Vigilantes in the must-watch category for this season. Strictly because I fucking like it. I'm kidding. I think this one is an overall solid production. And it's been growing a lot on me for a lot of reasons. I like the characters of this more than My Hero Academia. I like the style of it more than My Hero Academia. It's like the grounded street level stuff to it is fantastic. Especially as we're starting to see Koichi's powers evolve more and more. And this episode gave us some really good stuff that I think helped frame the characters better. We did get the Pop Step stuff, and I am really upset with Koichi for biffing Pop Step in this episode. Like, bro had a really simple task. It was a layup. It was easy. And he managed to fuck it up so bad. Yes, it was genuinely adorable how hard Pop Step was trying to like be the girlfriend. Like, she really wanted to be that girl, and she just got shut down. And then she got upset, she ran off, and Koichi managed to just fuck it up. You fucking idiot. His mother is a bit of a bitch, honestly. So, like, I can understand why he'd be terrified of her. She just seems like crazy. But in this episode, we get to see the evolution of Koichi's powers, which was honestly pretty cool, knowing that his ability actually allows him to fly. But due to psychological effects, it kind of holds him back. It's an interesting thing. And this is kind of something that it hasn't been directly stated up to this point. So when Koichi is first presented in the show, it says his quirk only allows him to move about as fast as a bike. And, they don't talk about this. But this dude, for the past couple of episodes, has been, since that point, has been getting faster and faster as he's been doing this vigilante stuff. To the point where he's now keeping up with not a max speed Ingenium, but Ingenium just like in pursuit. And that's an impressive thing. Like his powers have already improved. And the fact that they're also talking about like him potentially being able to fly, that's a really interesting thing as well. True. Yeah, like his mother like legitimately like stifled his fucking quirk. So it'll be interesting to see where all this goes. There's a lot of things that this is worth watching for. I do think it's worth watching for Pop Step, but there are a bunch of other things that go into it that make it genuinely worth watching. It's effectively like if My Hero Academia is Justice League, Vigilantes is Batman. And that would be the best analogy I can make for this. But basically, in this episode, I mean, Senpai definitely knows now. The question is she actually going to team up with them and start helping them? Which would be an interesting twist. And one that I think is pretty likely at this point, considering where they're at. But yeah, it really is sad, but it honestly, the way they do it makes kind of a joke about it. Apocalypse Hotel. Let's move on to that now. This was kind of a weird episode, to be entirely honest, and I'm not sure how I felt about it. I mean, I really don't know how I feel about parading a corpse around at your wedding. That just seems like a kind of fucked that I just never would touch, personally. So, okay, that's a thing. But we did get Yachio getting her body back. So she is back to being the good old Yachio we do. And, of course, in this, we have Ponko getting married. So that's a thing. We do have other Tanukians showing up. So we have a dude who's a doctor. I liked the part where like she's an adult, she's getting married and like actually like moving on with her life. She's not just gonna be a kid through the whole thing. That part I do like. And Yachio like actually caring about Ponko is a good touch to it. It's just when it came to like the grandma stuff, like there were better ways I think to handle that whole situation. It felt really weird to be carrying around the corpse of your dead relative at your wedding. Like, I don't know how many times I need to say this. Do not carry your. There were a lot of touching moments to it, yes. There were a lot of good moments to it. I'm complaining about one specific element. Overall, I think like the episode was pretty good. It was just like that one element made me really, really question what was going on this week. Like there were probably better ways to handle it with all of that stuff. So that's all I will say about it. Food for the Soul was really funny this week, actually. I thought Food for the Soul had a good episode. Nana talks to a lot of people in this episode because she figures out that she's not afraid of them if she can't see them. So they dress her up in a costume. The best part was when she put the traffic cone over her head and started talking to everyone. That was great. Mako basically ends up being a dumbass. And there's some goofy stuff with her. And then of course we do get the whole thing with the mascot that or Mako. The president girl. I think Mako is actually the cook. I always forget. This is a good question. This is good question. Food for Soul. Where is Food for Soul? Food for Soul. Characters. Okay. Yeah, so Mako is the cook girl. So the one I'm thinking of is Shinon. So Shinon in this episode was pretty fucking funny. Nana though continues to steal the show because she's just she's the goofiest. And of course, we do have the whole thing about the mascot trying Mako's food. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Not really much else to say there. We only have 3 more, I think. 3 more to talk about. And then it's a wrap. So, Windbreaker Season 2. The Tsubaki fight is officially over. So we got a pretty good thing with like tying in all of this stuff and a bit of like a redemption arc for the villains in this one, which I do like. I'm a person who, when it comes to storytelling and stuff, I like forgiveness and redemption as themes in these. It's just something that I personally find very compelling and things that I like to see in storytelling. Is people who have done terrible things yeah, Apocalypse Hotel is genuinely a great show. But yeah, redemption, forgiveness, repentance. People who have done terrible things, sort of acknowledging the error of their ways and trying to fix things. I genuinely think like those are some of the like my favorite themes in stories. I guess that's part of the reason why I do really love Mushoku Tensei. So we get that in this one. And then of course we have an old foe showing up. And we don't get an explanation as to who it is, but clearly this is someone who knows something about fooding. But all I have to think is like this show is proceeding in a way where like they're basically building up a bunch of fooding allies to fight like one big final battle. So you're gonna have basically the school and a couple of other gangs that fooding has sort of on good terms with. I thought it was a genuinely good episode. Do I think that it trumps something like Witch Watch? No. No. There are still a lot of things that are to be desired, but I think it does a good job of like tying in the character moments and stuff to the fights and all that. So I like it. I genuinely enjoy it. Don't care for the bad guy? Oh well. Tis what it is. To be Hero X. So we're on into Lucky Cyan's story. So we get like her escaping and her starting the music. That was interesting. Unluck Boy like basically sacrifices himself for her, and she is like living her best life. And given the way that this show has proceeded so far, I'm genuinely concerned because I'm pretty much expecting something pretty bad to happen to Lucky Cyan here. Because that's how these things go. That's just how they are. So when does something bad happen? This is the reason that I won't move it up to must watch. Is because everything feels like it's so just overly tragic. It feels like it's just too much at times. It's well written. It is a very good show. I just don't like the very generous helping of tragedy it constantly wants to serve me. That's how I feel about it. Like nothing about this show is fucking happy. But that's really all I got to say about that because like I don't really know if there's much else to get into. Like it's a good show, but it's tragic as fuck. Uma Musume though, I do have some thoughts on. And it's the last one of the night, so we'll probably take a little bit of time. I'm still catching up on it, unfortunately. I think I'm about 3 episodes behind at this point. 3, maybe 4. What are we at? So I am moving on to 6. So I got 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's 4 episodes I gotta watch. So with Uma Musume, I'm moving it up a little bit more. That's it. I watched one episode this week. So I can't really say much about it. I do enjoy it. Like, its animation is good. And as far as like the character of Ogre Cap, I find her enjoyable. And her interactions with Kitahara and Bell Light are fun. And that part of it is good. This episode that I just watched, episode 5, feels pretty drama heavy. Centered around like Kitahara now feels insecure about himself because Ogiri has been scouted to nationals. And he's sitting here like, well, I can't train her. I'm not good enough. She deserves better. She should go to nationals because she's just that good. And she's got other ideas. So he does this whole thing about like, if you lose this race, you can stay here and do the Tokai Derby. But if you win, you're going to nationals. I don't know. This part of the drama feels kind of forced to me, to be entirely honest. Is it the worst thing? Hell no. It's actually pretty good. It's worth a watch. But right now, I don't think it's really given me like a super amazing wow factor to it. Like there's nothing like super huge about it that I find would catapult it up the charts right now. Overall, solid production, really well done. You can root for the characters, like genuinely root for the characters, and have fun. Hello, Arceus. Nice of you to join us right here at the end of the night. With Uma Musume, you genuinely can get behind the characters, particularly Cap. But there are still some things that I would like to see. I get it, man. I get it. Kitahara is a little bit of a bitch. Also not a good decision to put that kind of pressure on your trainee. Yes. It just, I don't know. This wasn't the strongest episode. Maybe in the next couple, we will see how it plays out. And maybe I'll have a different opinion of it by the time I'm actually caught up. But right now, this is how I feel about it, like anime this season. This is how I feel like everything has gone on. So that said, we're going to end the night by taking a screenshot of where we are now. And we're going to close out. So, like I said, perhaps this upcoming week, I'll give like a Wednesday night news show a shot. And we'll do a couple of those and see how they go. See what the response is and if people like that kind of stuff. How's Callan going? Stumbled for a couple of episodes in my opinion, but got really good this last one. I feel like it returns to a lot of the psychological stuff that actually made it really intriguing and really fun to watch. So yeah, it's been good. I'm still enjoying it. But to close out the show, like I said, not going to be doing news or anything like that on animated anymore. From this point on, we are strictly talking what's been watched and read. That's what this show. That's what this show has become. And what I like doing on Saturday nights. If there's a good response to the new stuff, I'll continue doing it. But for now, I'm not sure about it. I just don't want to do it here because, like, I'm at 2 hours now of just talking anime on a Saturday night, and I'm sure that not everyone wants to be here super late listening to me cover a bunch of stuff. So that's that. As far as everything else goes, I mean, pretty normal schedule. At some point, I'll get back to like video game stuff, or maybe I'll just make a game channel dedicated to specifically that. But yeah, so hopefully I'll see you guys around. In the meantime, have a good night. If you've had it rough, pour yourself out a drink and relax. It's a weekend. Let's have some fun, boys. I appreciate every single one of you who's been here. RCS Rules, Marcel, Muffler Tape, Jeremy Turner, Pilgrim was here. Every single one of you guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Claymore School. Hope everyone has a good night. Stay hydrated, stay healthy. Titties are awesome. And Tatsumaki is hot, okay? Let's end on that note. Catch you next time on Animated.
Fuck.